Yeah, so I want to cover a lot of ground here. I want to basically talk about taking a proposal or a brainstorming with some thumbnails, and then picking one of those, doing 4 different color interpretations, and then coming up with a finalized project. And you can see examples of this. You can do this, you can find this in color theory courses, design courses. It's pretty common. You can see here on my website, here, jeffprentice.net, that the process has been archived here. And you can see some really beautiful thumbnails. This is your chance. You want 4 different ideas, right? And this is your chance to be creative. You can use gray. You are going to colorize these, so I am going to show you a way to keep everything on a separate layer, right? But, that's the idea. Whatever you decide to pick, do 4 different versions, and then you will end up doing them in color schemes, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So whatever you pick, decide to do, here, I will show you how to colorize these, and it's easier if you have them all on separate layers, right? So what do? The first thing you want to do is come up with an idea, right? And whether you're a photographer and you're montaging something together, whether you don't know what you're doing and you're just making a design, you want 4 different designs. And, usually you're going to present that onto, some kind of a template or a 4-up layout, right? And I've put one together here with my little concentric circles, and I've got little jagged edges showing up there. I'll see, I used my raster images. We'll see how they come out. But like, for example, let's say this was version 1. This is my symmetrical composition with this volumetric kind of rounded background here. Okay, so what I think I would do in this situation, since I need 4, is I would do an image duplicate. Okay, and I would take that duplicate, okay, and I would flatten it. And that means I can do Control A, Control C, then I'd come over here and I would paste that in to my area. Looks like something like, I could probably do a paste into, right? Something like that. And let me just see here. Oh, the layer's locked. Okay, well, in this case, these people have locked that particular layer, but this will give you an idea of, here's one idea, right, that I'm going to present. And I'm going to present this, usually I'm going to be describing, this is a symmetrical composition with a range of values, et cetera, et cetera. All right? Now, I can get rid of, can I get rid of that one? No, I'm going to keep that one. And I can rename it, I should probably be renaming these, I'm going kind of fast, but I am going to do another version, right? You usually when you're brainstorming, you're doing these thumbnails, you want to do one that's different. So in this case, I'm going to do one that's asymmetrical, a big element and a small element, right? I'm going to do an image duplicate. Okay, and I'm going to call this thumb 2. All right, there's thumb 2. I'm going to flatten that. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste it in. Control T, hold down my shift key. Okay. Pop that in. It's not a perfect format, is it? For what I'm doing. They've kind of constrained, in this case, they've kind of constrained it in a way that I don't really like. But anyway, it's going to work for whatever we're doing here, right? So there's 2. And then imagine that I'm going to do, again, imagine that I do 2 more designs, that are similar. And maybe this one I could flip into a portrait format or whatever, right? But again, I'm going to image duplicate, and I'm going to call this thumb 3. I'm going to flatten it. Select all, copy, go over here, paste it in. I'm going to fit it in there as best I can. Boom, there's that one. I might as well go in and do one. Let's take these off and let's do one that's kind of I don't know. You know, you do one that you love and one that you hate. Here we'll do, let me see, maybe we'll do one where these are these are getting smaller as they go down and around and through. Remember the rule of thirds, the focal point. This is a chance usually at this point for you to show an understanding of texture, of depth, of volume, everything that's been covered in a basic intro course. So let's say, that one, which I'm not wild about, but we're going to do, we're going to call this thumb 4, right? Flatten it. You can see how fast this can go, though. I mean, obviously you want to spend time on the composition, but as far as the mechanics, once you get the mechanics down, you can see I've got 4 compositions here. So what, usually you want to be able to do is to talk about, well, here's the symmetrical one, here's an asymmetrical one, and floating in space, and here's one that's kind of equally weighted with different forms, and then here's more of an asymmetrical one, and usually people will give you input as far as which one works, or maybe you should combine this design with this design and have some asymmetrical elements, etc. So, step 2, colorizing. Once you get some input and you figure out which one you want, you have saved these, right? And you might even have, these, in different, hopefully in all these different elements in different layers, right? So I really should have been saving these as .psd files, right, with all the different layers in there. And in this case, I think I am going to go with my design. I'm going to say, you know what? I am going to go with my symmetrical design. I'm going to call this the perfect union. All right. So, colorizing. I recommend using the traditional wheel. I mean, yes, you can use, the RGB wheel, and you can get into all these schemes. For me, the traditional wheel works. The others are for mixing. This one is where I can converse with somebody about a client or whoever about a complementary color scheme, yellow and violet, red and green, blue and orange. Let's just keep it simple. And, there are many different schemes that we can use. But if you are going to use monochromatic, that just means one color, okay? If you're going to use analogous, make sure they are related. Don't give me a blue and a red. Analogous colors means very closely associated hues, okay? Red violet, red and red orange, they all have red combining in it. If you find when you're doing analogous color schemes, if you find for some reason that you're getting over, that you're somehow finding blues in with your reds, and then you got a warm, cool color scheme, okay? Warm and cool color schemes. Reds combined with blues, oranges, with blue violets. I mean, they're going to be warms and it's going to be cools. And warm color schemes. Let's do some of these. So I usually like to have my wheel over, I don't know, that I can pick from. And now you could have each one of these shapes in a different layer, which would be nice. Or hopefully you can click through. This is the advantage of keeping things, geometric and flat instead of trying to do a montage. You can see that, and you know what? In this case, I'm going to cheat a little bit. How do you colorize this? Okay, so let's colorize the background. All right, let's pick a scheme. Now, let's be smart this time. Let's save this as warm PSD. Boom. All right, and we are going to save that as warm, and we are going to colorize the background in some kind of a warm color. All right, so I'm in my background layer. I'm going to bring up Control U. I'm going to colorize it, and I'm going to move my hue around to a warm hue. I can change my lightness. I can change my saturation. Ooh, look at that. Nice. All right. Now, I'm going to jump up to the layer that has my different circle layers on there. And again, what can I do here? I can pick from the color wheel if I want to pick a particular color. Let's say I want to pick an orange or maybe a red there. And I can then, if I have it in my top chip there, I can select that and I can Option Delete. Okay. Now watch this. I'm going to do a consecutive down. I'm going to go from red and then I'm going to Option Delete. And you say, whoops. And you say, well, that's the same color, but watch. Control U. And I'm going to change my saturation a little bit. Ooh, warms. Look at that pink. Right? Control, whoops, Option Delete. Control U. Let's bring that down a little bit. Now I want to keep it warm. I don't want to keep it, I don't want to, you know, cool it at all. Let's take it back up to orange. Option Delete. I like to hide, Command H. And I'm going to do Option Delete, fill that with red. Control U, and I'm going to put my yellow in there. Ooh, I don't like those jagged edges. That was bad. That was a bad call. Now look, I can keep that black in there. I can keep those grays in there if I want. Right? I can keep doing this. I can, and keep this in mind. All right. Shift click through, hide, Option Delete, like that. Keep in mind that you can desaturate. And you can also change the value, okay? So, once I've got that, I am going to copy it over. There's there's color scheme number 1, right? And what am I gonna do? I've saved this as warm PSD, right? So I can do a file, save for web. Warm JPEG. Let's put it on the desktop. Save it. All right. Now, what can I do here? I want to do a cool color scheme. All right. So, let me go up here. Let's resume. This is going to be a long tutorial. I'll try to keep it short though. We need a cool color scheme. So let's do an image duplicate, right? We'll call this cools. Boom. Now let's hide this puppy. Let's go back to this layer. What can we do here? Couldn't we shift click through all of these colors, hide, bring up Control U, and do our hues and just see if we can't slide things along until we get to some cools. I'm hoping. Again, I'm doing this, you know, I'm doing this to save time because I'm doing a tutorial, but just so you can get the idea of maybe, well, that's nice, isn't it, Prentice? Of what a cool color scheme might look like. Again, I don't like those jaggies. I'd be spending an hour or 2 or more on this, right? Really finessing it. But I want you to get the idea of how you can get these schemes done, right? Cools are going to be blues, right? And go back here and here's a cool color scheme, right? That saved as cool. I'm going to do a file, save for web, save, cools, save, right? Now, all right, now let's do a complementary color scheme. What are complements? Complements are colors directly across one another on the wheel. Why would you use complements? Because colors directly across on the wheel are the ones that contrast the most, conflict the most, right? Split complements. Let's say you got a red and a green, right? They're really clashing, but you don't want it to clash quite as much. So you go over to one side, red and yellow green, red and blue green, right? It's just like cooking, just like spices, right? A little bit here, a little bit there, subtleties. But we're going to stick with complements. What's blue? What's the complement of blue? Orange. So if I want a complementary color scheme here, File, Save As. We're going to call that comps. And let's change this background. Let's see if we can get it to orange. All right. There. And if we wanted to get fancy, we could even say there's some purple in there. Let me put in some yellow. Turn off this guy. There's some purple in there, so how about a yellow? Right? Here's another way to add color. Go down here to your color picker. Pick some yellow. Put some yellow in there. Now, when I post this, I can say I have a complementary color scheme. I've got some oranges complementing the blues. I've got some yellows complementing the purples. Okay, fine. Kind of ugly, but you know. You get the idea of basically of what I'm trying to do here. Comps, JPEG. Okay, what's the last one? How about achromatic? I could do analogous. Colors close to one another, you know, on the wheel here. I could do all violets, right? I could get rid of that, you know. How about I do, you know, analogous, or I start filling in these colors the way I want. But you know what? Just for the sake of this tutorial, why not flatten it? Well, now let me undo that. Why don't I do a file, save as achrome for achromatic, flatten it. All right. Control U, desaturate everything. Oh my God. Bring up the levels. Okay. And that's my achromatic composition. I already know this is the one I hate the most. Save for web. Achrome. All right. Now, final step, right? We are going to, we've gone from here, and now we are going to bring these in and pop them onto this template. So let's do a file open. And let's go to achrome JPEG, comps JPEG, cools JPEG. Oh, what do I got? Warm JPEG. Open, 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 open. All right. So there's our warm. Copy. And I want to find my template. Okay. I am going to overwrite the border there. Okay. There's my warms. Here's my achromatic. Copy. Go over here. Paste. It's my achromatic, my cools, copy, paste, hit my V to move it, my T, sure everything's lined up, my cools. Do I have my comps? My comps. Ooh, boy, that hurts the eyes, doesn't it? All right. Well, it'll just make some of them look better, right? Worse they are. All right. So this is where now, let's see. It looks like they give us the text here. Okay. So, let's see here. Click on the text tool. What's my color scheme there? warms with auto select layer turned on, right? What's my color scheme here? Achromatic. Okay, can I select that? Oh, good. Cools. I can just have my text tool selected, and here I've got my complements. Not compliments, not with an I, but with an E. Right? Here are my thumbs for my color schemes. Now I can save for web, okay? I can post this, people can comment on it. And usually for the final now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get input on this. For the final, you can deviate slightly from this. You might say, you know, I'm gonna use a warm color scheme, but I wanna throw in a few cools in there. Or you can say, I really like the warm color scheme, but I hate that background. I'm gonna go with an achromatic background. I'm gonna keep those warms in there. But do you see the process we've gone through? From thumbnails, picking a thumbnail, doing some color schemes, picking the best color scheme, and then going back to your PSD file that you've saved all the layers on, and then being able to, for example, change that to an achromatic, maybe darkening it. So maybe that will be my final that I present after this whole process. So let me know if you have any questions on that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this one.